it's time to talk about who impressed, because week one was electrifying. There was plenty of great play, plenty of guys who stood out. Like we said, quarterback competition is a big one, but the wide receiver too has taken off. The fullback emergence, some of the rookies, a shocking rookie who has made his way onto the scene. I got a list of guys who stood out in week one. I'm going to run through a couple of them, really the big ones for you to kind of go off of and for everybody to somewhat identify as we head into week two here. We'll start with the biggest surprise and I think the most impressive name on this list, and that is undrafted rookie Beanie Bishop, who got the first day with the first team at slot corner and has not given it up since. And you could say, well, it's early. I agree with that. But the difference is last year, day one, Duke Dawson got the starting reps with the first team on the first day of training camp, and everybody made a big deal out of it. And this year you learned, don't make a big deal out of it. But Duke Dawson never got those reps again. Beanie Bishop has been the only one who gets those reps outside of Deshaun Elliott, who I expect to be the starting nickel corner if the Steelers go to nickel packages the first couple of weeks of the season. But Beanie Bishop has looked good. He has shut down Calvin Austin a number of times, Roman Wilson a number of times. He's got his hands on some tight ends a couple of times. He's been impressive. He looks fast. He looks much more capable of playing the role than he did during OTAs and minicamp. And to me, to be totally honest, has been one of the most fun names to watch out there, because for an undrafted rookie, that's a dude that you're rooting for at all times. On the other side of that is Deshaun Elliott, who I think looks like an absolute monster on the football field. You could say, like, I was a big Terrell Edmonds guy. I was somewhat of a fan of DeMonte KZ his first couple of years. I think he's had his good and his bad. Nobody has looked anywhere close to as good as Deshaun Elliott. That dude is a monster. He seemingly hasn't given up a play during the first week of training camp, no matter who he's defending. And he's played the nickel, which has opened up a role for DeMonte KZ, allowed Minkah Fitzpatrick to continue playing Minkah ball deep. I think it works out really well. He's beyond physical. He looks like a freak out there. He's fast. If he could stay healthy, I mean, there is no reason that Deshaun Elliott can't be the guy for years to come in Pittsburgh next to Minkah, because he's quickly showing this is where he should be. He fits the AFC North and fits that football style, and then is just perfect next to a guy who's ready to do anything. And in a mix with DeMonte KZ, who I quickly have learned you're not getting rid of DeMonte KZ because you need Deshaun Elliott to be able to be versatile, and that just works out way too well. You saw Beanie Bishop out there. We talked a little bit about Beanie before. We've talked a little bit about Deshaun Elliott. What are your thoughts on both of those guys as impressive names in the first week here before I dive into some more?
Yeah, as we were going into training camp, one of the biggest conversations is, well, when are the Steelers going to bring in somebody else to make up for the Cam Sutton suspension?
Yep.
And we were saying, all right, well, they're going to give the first couple of days of camp to see if anybody steps up and takes charge of this role. And the best case scenario was Beanie Bishop. He has the highest upside, but he's also an undrafted free agent rookie. So the question was, can he quickly ascend the ranks, and can he quickly become the guy over Anthony Averett, over Josiah Scott, guys who have experience in the NFL, but the ceiling isn't quite there. The ceiling's there for Beanie Bishop. And the fact that he's come out and he's looked this good early is best case scenario for the Steelers. And then on the other side of things, whenever you look at a guy, like DeMonte KZ, like, I'm blanking on his name. You just said it.
Minkah,
and I love
Deshaun
Elliott. I was thinking another Elliott, but Deshaun Elliott.
It is your guy too. That's surprising.
It's my guy, so I can't believe I blanked on it. But the biggest thing with Deshaun Elliott is, saying that he needs to be that versatile guy, that takes that off of Minkah's plate. So the fact that Deshaun Elliott can come in and early on be the guy that not only can give Beanie Bishop some rest and some time to kind of build up to what he is an everyday NFL player.
Yep.
He's also able to take that versatility role away from Minkah, so Minkah can do what he does best, which is be that ball hawking free safety. So hearing that those two guys have stood out early in camp is the best thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, because that was the biggest question going into camp is there going to be a fix at slot safety or slot corner? And are you going to have to take away from your deep safety in which you kind of lose everything you tried to build for Minka. So the fact that they're able to do that, I think that really starts to help solidify the Steelers defense. And I think, again, we're going to see tomorrow when the pads come on, can the rubber meet the road? But so far, so good when it comes to the Steelers in slot corner. And Beanie Bishop being that guy is huge for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's jump over to the offensive side of the ball before we talk some more additions to the defense. Three names. I'll give you 3 names. I'm going to go into 2 of them, and then I'm going to give you the third because, man, the third is electrifying. You guys could probably already know who it is. I've never been more excited to talk about a guy, and he is my guy. Last year, I picked Elijah Riley. That was a dude that I was like, this guy deserves this. If tomorrow goes swimmingly, you will see me. There might be a t-shirt made. I've already been thinking about it. 2 names on offense that I think people got to start paying attention to. If you had to ask me the favorite as the wide receiver 2 in Pittsburgh right now, I'd tell you it's Pat Freiermuth, because that dude looks awesome. He has significantly taken a significant step forward, I should say. He looks slimmer, which I haven't gotten a shot to ask him. We've kind of BS'd like off the field, joking a couple of times, and I just, every time he walks away, I'm like, didn't ask him if he lost weight. Totally forgot to ask him if he lost weight. He looks slimmer. He looks faster. He's utilized all over the field, whether that's in line, out wide, in the slot, doesn't matter. He has been everywhere. He's been catching passes from Justin Fields and Kyle Allen. He's like tipping balls to himself, trying to make athletic plays. Pat looks real good, like real good, taking a very big step forward, ready to be that guy at tight end. Good. And I think that's awesome because, look, Pat, we've said this so many times. Pat has the potential to be that guy. He has the potential to be a star tight end in the NFL. And people are talking about, no, you can't extend him yet. He isn't worth it, blah, blah. Tight ends mature much later than everybody else. And there are some guys, there's the exception to the rules, the Sam Laportas who come out here and just ball from day one, the Isaiah Likeleys who look good out of the jump. Pat's a dude who's never had a quarterback outside of his first year, but has never had an offensive coordinator that wants to drop a play for him, has worked in offenses that are terrified to use the middle of the field. That seems to be going away with Arthur Smith. Pat looks like a guy who's ready to impress. He is my call for wide receiver 2, second leading receiver in Pittsburgh outside of George Pickens. He looks so good. The Steelers are utilizing 2 tight end sets. Darnell Washington's made a couple of plays where you're like, Darnell? I mean, at one point, Zach Azzani was yelling from the wide receiver group to Darnell as he's coming out the field. He's like, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. And I was like, Darnell Washington's getting props for a route over here? That's crazy. He looks good. The tight ends look very impressive. Even Michael Pruitt's coming out here making some plays. Connor Hayward's making some plays. Pat Freiermuth looks like the leader of a very strong group right now. I'm impressed with what he's done. I think his ceiling this season is massive. The other one is Roman Wilson, who he has emerged. It took him a day. The first day of training camp, he was quiet, didn't do anything. Second day, he started to have a couple of really nice passes with the second team. It was Kyle Allen was finding holes in the middle of the defense. Roman Wilson was there, looked really good. Third day, Roman catches a touchdown right in 7 shots, right on the goal line, contested catch in traffic, looked real good. And then he comes out with the first team in the first set of drills or team drills, and Justin Fields right off the bat, first play, goes deep to him along the sidelines. He beats Beanie Bishop. He goes over the top, over 2 guys, comes down, keeps his feet in. Looked really impressive. Since then, he hasn't slowed down. Roman has taken the biggest step forward for me since OTAs and minicamp, because I was very open that Roman didn't look good in OTAs and minicamp, and he didn't. And he has come out here and he has taken that step. It's really good to see. He looks like a dude who could be a factor on this defense, or this offense. Looks like the piece that the Steelers wanted him to look like. And then third on this list, and this is a 2-pack here. This is a 2-packer. It's Jack Coletto, and you guys should start knowing who the fullback is in Pittsburgh, because there's going to be a fullback in Pittsburgh. I don't know if it'll be Jack. I don't know. Tomorrow tells us all. You put the pads on. If you're a fullback who can't play in pads, you're not a fullback. I got high hopes for him. If it's not Jack, it's going to be somebody else. The Steelers are going to utilize a fullback this year, and it's going to be electric, because not watching Jack Coletto create a hole, which the offensive line has looked great, but watching Jack Coletto create a hole, Najee Takeoff, who has looked That's the second part of this 2-pack is Najee Harris. Najee's looked fast. He looks like he's able to read the holes a lot better. The holes are bigger, which are easier for him. Jack creates the hole. Najee takes off. Both of them are sprinting down the field. Najee's losing his mind in excitement over this guy. Jack Coletto is the name to watch. There's going to be a fullback in Pittsburgh this year. The fullback is back. The Pittsburgh Steelers have made the fullback great again. And I am pumped for what is to come. Those would be my standouts on the offensive side of the ball so far. You could toss Kyle Allen there too. There is no quarterback competition for the QB2 role, QB3 role. Kyle Allen is QB3, but you have a good QB3 if you're the Steelers. That's impressive. Those are my names on offense.
Yeah, the fact that you're talking about a fullback and they haven't even put full pads on tells me everything I need to know about Jack Coletto, right? I mean, you talk about him, he hasn't had a chance to hit somebody. Now, tomorrow, like you mentioned, if he goes out there and backs on backers, and Jack Coletto is going to be put through the ringer tomorrow. If he goes out there and impresses or, I will say holds his own, because there are guys like a Landon Roberts on the other end of this. If he goes out there and holds his own, the excitement is going to go through the roof. Everybody in Latrobe is going to be tweeting, talking, whatever you want to say about Jack Coletto. So the fact that we're talking about him before we even put full pads on is a very exciting thing, because the fullback position, it's not really a 7-on-7 position. It's not really a, thud up position. So the fact that we're already talking about him and Najee's this excited and Arthur Smith's this excited, it's very, very entertaining and very exciting for the Steelers, especially a fan base that has wanted an identity for this offense for so long. Bringing Jack Coletto in just is kind of the flag and the cherry on top of Arthur Smith saying, we are going to run the ball down everybody's throat and win it that way. And that's AFC North football. So I'm excited about that. And then obviously, hearing Roman Wilson take off is similar to Beanie Bishop. It's somebody who through OTAs, you're like, all right, there's a ceiling there, but we're just not seeing it. It's good that he got off to a fast start in training camp and can build off of this, because this is a guy, let's not forget, that was a national champion last year. That was a major piece to a national championship team. And in a role that is going to be very similar to what he's going to be in Pittsburgh. That is a run-first team that likes to smack you in the mouth, and they just like to get their receivers open when it's most important. And that's what Roman Wilson's going to have to do this year. He doesn't have to be the number one. He doesn't have to be the number two, because Pat Freiermuth has been huge. But to be able to be that number 3 or number 4 and get open in important moments and make plays, that's going to be huge. And the one thing that I will say is, knowing that we still haven't seen really a lot from Russell Wilson, I'm still excited about Calvin Austin, though, because through this entire offseason, it has been Calvin Austin is Russell Wilson's guy. So the fact that Justin Fields came out and it wasn't necessarily a standout week for Calvin Austin, but it was for other players, it makes me excited that there are options that are stepping up. And I still feel that when Russ is back, him and Austin have a early connection that we'll get to see him start to step up as well.
Yeah, Russ did come over to Calvin a couple of times and gave him a little dap up and was like, yo, good job. Calvin had a really nice catch over Beanie Bishop from Justin Fields. It actually went viral a little bit on Twitter. That Calvin's looked good. George has looked good, but Roman and Pat have stood out significantly more than anybody else to this point in the wide receiver core. It's big. And then before we dive into the quarterback competition, where we currently stand, blah, 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 and then answer all of your questions, I'll give you one more little group here, and that is the defensive side of the football. Dante Jackson has looked every bit of a starting corner, super fast, able to shut down guys like George Pickens with ease, looks good, came up with the first interception of the week, which, if you're going to give Roman a strike, that's the one, is Roman ran the wrong route. He kept going, should have been a comeback. Justin Fields throws it. Dante Jackson comes up with it. Peyton Wilson he looks like a gazelle out there. It's crazy. He's punched the ball loose on Pat Freiermuth once. It was a good week. And then the big three of Cam Hayward, Patrick Queen, and TJ Watt, all three of them look crazy. It's terrifying how good they actually look. Cam Hayward, again, Pat's got to come on, but it's more so just being able to know what's happening. TJ will beat his offensive lineman and just stand there because he knows the ball's coming at him and he's just going to swat it down. Cam's the same way. Pat's the same way. Queen's closing speed is unreal. It's one of the best I've ever seen. But those guys look those guys look electric. The Steelers have a core that is very, very impressive heading into the second week. All right, let's talk. Oh, you got words on those? Go ahead.
I was just going to say the one thing that I saw more than anything was the amount of batted passes in team periods. And I thought, well, most of the time that's TJ Watt, but I saw a couple from DeMarvin Leal. I saw a couple from some linebackers as well that were up on the line. So that's seemingly going to be a very important piece of the Steelers defense this year, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, Dante Jackson was like, I've never, we asked him yesterday, like, hey, what stands out about this defense? And he's like, I don't think you guys understand how scary this pass rush is. he's like, I've never seen anything like this. This is crazy. So it's going to look good. Those guys look electric. So it's a good time for the Steelers defense.